Good evening. I declare the agenda briefing meeting open at 6 p.m. Councillors, I declare the agenda briefing meeting open at 6 p.m. Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting today is being held on Whadjuk Noongar Budja, and I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. I thank all past and present members of the community that have supported the city to better understand and value Noongar culture within the city of Wanneroo. I invite you to bow your head in prayer. Lord, we thank you for blessing our city, our community and our council. Guide us all in our decision-making to act fairly, without fear or favour, and with compassion, integrity, wisdom and honesty. May we show true leadership, be inclusive of all, and guide all of the city's people and many families to a prosperous future that all may share. We ask this in your name. Amen. Please note that the audio-visual proceedings of tonight's meeting will be live broadcast online with the exception of matters discussed behind closed doors. The broadcast of the proceedings of the meeting can be accessed live and on demand through the City of Wanneroo YouTube channel. We have no electronic attendances requested. We have an apology this evening from Councillor Bedworth, and we have leaves of absences approved by Council. And of those councillors who are on leave of absence this evening, that is Councillor Huntley, Councillor Coetzee, Councillor Smith and Councillor Van Nguyen. We go to item 3 of the agenda this evening, deputations. The rules of deputation, which I will read out now, are 1. Deputations must relate to a report on the current agenda, briefing agenda. A deputation is not to exceed 3 speakers in number, and only those speakers may address the council members. Speakers of a deputation will collectively have a maximum of up to 10 minutes, dependent on the number of deputations received, to address council members, unless an extension of time is granted. A deputation is to be in the form of a statement and no debate or discussion on the matter is to occur. Questions from council members relating to the subject matter should be reserved until the administration has presented on the relevant report during the meeting. However, a point of clarification by a council member on a specific statement may be permitted. Public questions are not heard at an agenda briefing meeting and will be heard at an ordinary council meeting. And so we have these deputations that have been confirmed. Our first deputation this evening is on item 4.10, Wanneroo Recreation Centre Sports Hub, engagement outcomes, and that is Jeanette Payne. Jeanette, would you like to come and take the podium and give us your name and the suburb you live in? Thank you.
I hope you don't mind me using my laptop if that's okay. Good evening, Mayor, CEO, Administration and councillors. My name is Jeanette Payne. Most of you already know me, and thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to present to you tonight. I've read countless reports. I've spoken directly with the community over the last 5 months, and I will try to keep this as brief as I can, targeting the key issues and facts put forward in this report. Please remember, in all of this, we do not want to stop upgrades to the Wanneroo Recreation Centre area. We believe that the scope of works is a bit rushed and poorly thought out, with unfinished reports, fluid design changes due to environmental, bushland, lakeside proximity and accessibility. I just want to present some facts. Administration has admitted in one of their statements in the report, the site is environmental and culturally significant, being part of the Yellowgonga Regional Park. It states the current buildings are ageing and need replacement. However, at no stage do they ever mention that these buildings will be upgraded. The concept design presented to the community in the beginning that the report so widely mentions that was supported by the community never took away the whole soccer pitch and included other facilities that no longer are in the concept. There are very few similarities compared to these two designs. from the one shown to the public in the beginning to the second design, including the footprint that goes on the side of the field, then all of a sudden takes over the whole soccer pitch. Correspondence with the community at best was poor. First letter never told the community that it was relocating the building to the soccer pitch. As you'll see in the documents you have provided, there is an overview, but it wasn't sent with the other images that just showed the facade had changed. So when we did door knocking and actually spoke face to face to the community and actually informed them that it was actually changing location, that is where people found the concern. Not the facilities. Even the positive reviews that you received did say, we would love to see new facilities in our ageing community. However, we do not believe it needs to be where they have put it. Fact, in the first engagement with the community, 59 responses. If you guys have read the report, you will see there are numbers and numbers and numbers, which I won't go through, that I had written in my deputation. However, to say that something drastically went wrong. The project was redesigned and the scope of works changed, and a huge red flag was shown to the community, which I hope that you guys will see as well. In 2021, our growth of Wanneroo is not what it is in 25, 26, and projected, I think, to 2047. The proposed location would not be fit for purpose anymore. By the time it finished, the lake's edge is not a place to keep growing indoor sporting facilities. Council, I present to you an alternative. There are brilliant alternatives that deliver on the City of Wanneroo's council plan and the strategic community plan, which means it delivers to the community as a whole. If east side of Wanneroo Road is not an option, calling the lakeside a sporting precinct is a bit of a stretch, as there are no regular games played. The basketball courts, other than the Lakeview Joondalup badminton teams that come in the evenings to play their training. The ovals are only got training on them by children due to drainage issues and the size of the fields. The best drained field is actually Scenic Park, where they want to pop the building. So, one of the options that administration put in their report is the Wanneroo Sports and Social Club, which backs onto the Wanneroo Showgrounds and is also where the new state pickleball courts are located. So in this precinct, where the old rundown youth centre is in the skate park, the tennis club, the football club, the cricket club, the calisthenics that go to the Margaret Cockman, they're also, and there's some other small sporting groups, this is a perfect place to call a sporting precinct. Traffic management at Reety Avenue would need to probably be altered to be more safer, maybe pedestrian crossings for children to cross from east to west and return, and it would also slow traffic to come through our city centre. Some upgrades to the Margaret Cockman, incorporating the Historical and Agricultural Society, embracing those beautiful subjects in our community. With upgraded facilities to the club rooms happening in the next 12 months, Wanneroo Showgrounds will again have so much life all year round. Being along Wanneroo Road made it accessible for all abilities without having to source public transport routes, widening footpaths, and we get to keep our children safe on their journey for weekend sport and for training during the week. In the most recent bushfires, we would know that the Wanneroo Showgrounds were also used for the fire brigade to station there because of its proximity, and obviously that we could not use the Wanneroo Rec Centre due to the BAC risk assessment being changed in 2024. Another great reason to have better facilities at our showgrounds. Now, all of this does not mean that the current rec centre gets neglected whilst the sporting hub gets built. For this area, according to administration reports, was always stage 2. The project where it will bring together the community alongside the lake with incorporating and supporting our small community groups. And it would also, still with the upgrade of the Wanneroo Rec Centre, go alongside the Rotary Park design to bring people together from all over for this amazing space. The hard work that administration has already done does not go to waste as stated in one of the options, as it all still applies to stage 2. But without taking the soccer field and upgrading the current 55-year-old building that is a positive for everyone, including biodiversity of the area, the environment, for the council, for administration, and for the people that live near and far. I conclude. I believe I do not need to go on about all the topics and reasons why the Sports Hub on Scenic Drive is in the wrong place again to you. You already know these things. We've spoken about them through previous meetings. But as I've said in the beginning, we are not saying no to this project going ahead. The Sports Hub is in the wrong spot for the reasons already mentioned. The second stage of upgrading the two old buildings needs to be done. This sporting hub needs to be relocated. In administration's own report, they admit this isn't the best spot. I urge council to see that this report is biased to what administration is wanting to deliver without completing reports that are not public knowledge, which would mean that you don't have all the facts. Are you happy to pop the hot asphalt car park, the black and white building right along the lake's edge of Yellowgonga Regional Park and Lake Joondalup? Placing this sports hub is not a legacy that I would want to have my name with or something I'd want to be associated with in the future. It also sets a poor precedence for something we might want to do in the future, to build along our lakes in different councils as well if we start to see these things happen. We need facilities in smart places, regardless of it. We know it won't be easy, and we know what we're asking is not small. But taking this public open space, this bushland forever site, makes no sense, and I urge you to choose option 2 and to rule out anywhere along our lake to become a construction site other than to upgrade what we already have. This place is special. I bought in Wanneroo just before COVID hit. And the reason I bought where I did is my mum had sold her home and she was passing away of breast cancer. I come from the country and we appreciate open space. So can you imagine you're not well? I cared for mum under our roof for as long as I could. But we would take walks along the lake, albeit in a wheelchair, enjoying the cool breeze over the lake, the birds talking through the day and night. What a beautiful place of peace for a body who was sick. After we do most of these walks in the park and play with nature with my son, after my mum had passed away, this is the best place that Lincoln loves to fly his kite, listen for lizards rustling in the bushes, and looking for the beehives that we find in lots of trees. I think we have about 4 hives. You've met Lincoln, and he is a beautiful boy, but he is connected to the nature and to the world around him. I have a book that I urge you guys to read. It is about a man who goes to a tree with an axe. This is in the library. We read this, it just popped out. Lincoln quoted this book when I went to playgroup the other day, and he said to the tree while we were sitting under the shade of it, "Tree, can I be a part of your world?" And the tree replied, "You already are." The man originally had an axe in his hand to cut it down, and he realised how small his world was with a couch and a phone. Our world is so much bigger than what we see in front of us. And I urge you guys to listen to all the community that have concerns. All those numbers that you can see in front of you mean something. That red flag means we have to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Payne.
Thank you.
I would like to ask for Constance O'Brien to come to the podium. She's speaking about item 4.10, Wanneroo Recreation Centre Sports Hub Engagement Outcomes. Is Constance O'Brien here this evening? Yeah. Constance, if you could just take the podium and give us your name and suburb you live in. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Constance O'Brien. I live in 88 Leasteer Drive, Marriagenup. I coordinate a petanque group which meets every week without any remuneration. We just enjoy it. The whole community is invited to come, and we've enjoyed going there. I have also put a petition in and several submissions. entered questions on your say. I have met with Jordan. He has answered me. But I have 19 points on my petition which no one has really responded to. So I just feel that the original survey conducted did not give any alternative sites. It appeared to be a fait accompli with only the design in question, a design that was drawn up sight unseen and proved unacceptable, a waste of your grant's money. Therefore, the 80% that is quoted in favour of the sports hub would seem to be a false assumption. You're assuming that people who aren't residents don't use those areas. They do, and in future, if you have a sports hub, you will have people coming from all over the place. So I don't think that's relevant. The administration still proceeded with another expensive design without considering any sites other than those they had rejected, ignoring residents' suggestions. Why? Why is that so? Is this the way of community consultation? It's a good example, isn't it? There are many reasons why the choice of Scenic Park is inappropriate. It's a beautiful open area used to promote the health and well-being of the community at large. Regular users come from other localities and therefore need none of the separation that was made by admin in their analysis. Would there be only local residents attending the sports hub if it were to go ahead? Traffic assessment is far from reality. To anyone who regularly uses Scenic Drive, there are many devices and roundabouts to slow down the traffic. The speed limit is 50, and if you have cyclists on the road and followed them, you would understand that it's quite difficult. Put that together with an additional volume of traffic, people hurrying to a game or picking up children from calisthenics, plus the crossovers at the bike path, and you have a tragedy waiting to happen. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. There is a risk of lake contamination, disturbance of wildlife and turtle nesting through light contamination and the increase of traffic noise. Is there any guarantee that the additional money required to complete the project, when we are all aware the government is looking to prioritise its spending? The money already spent could have been put to good use in updating the recreation centre, which has suffered for years with bad plumbing. And I know because I've been there going there 10 years. Considering the high volume of negative responses, the lack of a complete council and the increasing public interest in a petition to Parliament at this time, open till May 26, requesting the government to protect Scenic Park by including it in the Yalagonga Protection Area. It would be prudent to delay the decision before you till these matters can be resolved. And I rest my case on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question. You stated there hasn't been a response to your petition. Has there been a response to this petition, or is it within the report, Ms Davis?
Thank you for the question, Mayor. I understand that both of the petitioners, the lead petitioners, were advised every time this has come to council, as well as a notification was put up on your say advising the broader community that this item was in front of council this month.
But the petition itself was responded to, the questions on the petition?
That's correct as well, yes.
Thank you. I now go to Mr Nicholas Willocks, who's down to make a statement. Mr Willocks, would you like to come and make a statement and give us the suburb you live in? Thank you.
I'm sorry, there are two of us for this deputation. It's on the record.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know, but I'm going through the process and everyone in the chamber is being given the opportunity to do their deputation first, and then those who are not on the list and not in the chamber, I will read their deputation out. Okay, so I've got Miss Payne, I've got Constance O'Brien, I've got one written one when the person is not in the room.
There were 2 speakers listed
Yes,
for Constance O'Brien's deputation.
We have a receipt.
Okay, I don't have that on my agenda. Did you record how long Miss O'Brien spoke to it for? 4.5 minutes. So who are the other 2 people speaking in your deputation?
There's only one.
Okay, would you like to come and take the podium and give us your name and the suburb you live in? Thank you.
Okay. My name is Cheryl Cundall and I live in Dundebar. I'm a frequent user of the Wanneroo Recreation Centre and the Petonk Pitch at Scenic Park, and I lodged submissions about the proposed sports hub in both 2023 and 2025. The community was better informed when the revised concept design was publicised, so I'm not surprised that more people became interested in it and the tide turned to one of overwhelming negativity. My views haven't changed. I believe there are alternative sites that should be considered and investigated, even if that means going back to the drawing board. For instance, we have submitted alternative locations, have no feedback about them. Also, instead of building one large building to accommodate several indoor sports and activities, together with its inherently large car park, has the possibility of building smaller sports centres with smaller car parks on smaller sites being considered. The demand for another basketball court, which seemed to be what initiated this whole process, could be addressed by building a dual multi-purpose courts first in an alternative location, and a combined boxing calisthenics centre could be incorporated into the rebuilding of the Wanneroo Recreation Centre. There's far more at stake than these considerations put forward by administration in the briefing notes, and I'm going to quote some of them. Disregarding the extensive work undertaken over the last 4 years. Well, consider that. The work is the foundation for what is to come. Extending the project timeline. It's already been extended in pursuit of a better outcome, so do it again to achieve the best outcome. Requiring additional costs for engagement and consultancy. The precedent's already been set with multiple engagements and consultancies to date. Each one incurred costs that were authorised. Incurring termination fees for the current contractor. How can a contractor be engaged before the process of detailed design, approvals, tenders, procurements and finances has been finalised? Losing existing grant funding commitments.
You're asking a lot of questions. The deputation is supposed to be a statement. If you have questions, the questions are to be asked at the ordinary council meeting, and then that will give administration the opportunity to answer your questions. You're just doing open-ended questions. You need to be doing a deputation with statements. Thank you.
Perhaps I could rephrase and say that I'm surprised that a contractor has been engaged before those processes have been finalised. The other quote from admin, losing existing grant funding commitments from the state government. In my 2025 submission, I asked, because it was a financial decision to separate the construction of a new sports hub and a community centre into 2 projects, is the haste in starting the construction of the sports hub by June 2026 also a financial one? Is it a case of having to spend the money that's been granted before its use-by date? Although I haven't received any response to those questions...
Excuse me, that's another question.
I'm quoting.
Yes, it is a question. That's a question that can be brought at the OCM. Okay, thank you.
I'm referring to a question I posed in my submission, which hasn't been responded to. And as I'm answering here, although I haven't received any response to those questions, I'll take it that the answer to each is yes. On a side note, It's disappointing that the Wanneroo Recreation Centre and Sports Hub update, September 2025, published on the city's website, states, "We are currently reviewing all submissions and will respond to everyone who raised questions. Yet my submission, containing 10 questions, has not been responded to." Back to administration's briefing notes. Exacerbating asset management issues associated with the existing facilities. Seeing as admin acknowledges, as we users of the Wanneroo Recreation Centre do, that there are issues with the existing facilities, why is building a new sports hub, being prioritised over fixing or replacing what's broken? Perhaps I can rephrase that so it's not a question too. I can't understand why building a new sports hub is being prioritised over fixing or replacing what's broken. In its summary, administration notes that an assessment of both options available to council finds that there are significant financial, reputational and asset-related risks involved in progressing with option 2. I argue that the same risks apply to option 1. For instance, financial. It's not yet fully funded. It's stage 1 of a 2-stage project. Admin intends to apply to CITS for a funding contribution of $2.5 million. An updated cost estimate in June 25 projects $21.2 million, with a total funding shortfall of approximately $10.4 million. Any funding shortfall will be listed in the draft long-term financial plan in 2026-27. Remember, stage 2, the community centre, is yet to come. Reputational. Should the legacy of this council be the construction of a building on a site that many of the city's residents oppose, resulting in the destruction of an irreplaceable natural asset which is enjoyed by the community and as habitat for a variety of fauna? Perhaps I can rephrase that so it's not a question too. I'm surprised that the legacy of this council could be the construction of a building on a site. Asset related. There could be a feasible alternative.
Excuse me, Ms Cundall, there's been 10 minutes of the whole deputation between the two of you. Councillors, are you happy for her to proceed with her deputation? Yep. Thank you. Proceed. We will give you another 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Assets related, there could be a feasible alternative. The community was asked to comment and offered suggestions, but there is no evidence that they've been pursued or reasons given for their non-viability. In the briefing notes, and I'll repeat Jeanette's comments, admin stated that the site is of environmental and cultural significance, and another quote, that the proposed sports hub facility is on a site that is highly valued by community members and local residents for a range of reasons, but predominantly for its environmental values and the range of recreational activities that it supports. Hear, hear. If time and funding are lost, it is possible to make up for that in the future. But if a valued and valuable, well-utilised environmental asset is lost, it is lost forever. This project can succeed and be accepted by the community if the best outcome is achieved. I don't believe that the best outcome has been presented, but I hope that due process will allow that to happen.
Thank you for your deputation, Ms Cundall. I would now like to ask Mr Nicholas Willicks to come forward for his deputation. Thank you. Just give us your name and the suburb you live in.
Thanks. My name's Nicholas Wilcox. I'm a local resident, live down on the foreshore on Scenic Drive. Very briefly, just in summary, Wanneroo Council has since 2019 identified the need for a new indoor sporting amenity, and the relatively underused soccer field was proposed as the best location. Now, considerable effort has apparently gone into the planning and the like. I'm a local resident and believe that this would be better left as a family-friendly playing field. I am biased. I would like you all to consider what is the best use for this site retention as a family-friendly lakeside playing field enjoyed by current and future generations, or as a sports building and car park which can easily be located anywhere. With a rapidly expanding population in the Wanneroo Shire, lakeside playing fields like this cannot be recreated at will. Once it's gone forever. What will our future generations remember us for? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other deputations from the chamber? If there are no other deputations from the chamber, we have a deputation that was sent in to us by Alanta Veld, who was not able to attend in person. My name is Alanta Veld. I'm a freshwater turtle expert and citizen scientist from Albany, WA. I have been recording the nesting behaviours of the Churchgelong Lake Seppings population of Chelodina oblonga oblong turtles, previously known as the southwestern snake-necked turtle, for over 18 years. What is clear to me is that this species is on the brink of localised extinctions in the Perth metropolitan area due to predation of both nests and individual animals, habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, significant drying trends to the hydrological cycles of the freshwater systems where these animals live. Armidale populations have already become locally extinct, and so it is critical that those populations remaining are protected from the same fact. Data from TurtleSat clearly shows that the proposed development, particularly the car park, will be built on turtle nesting grounds. Council may argue that the whole of the lakeshore is potential nesting grounds and that the species will learn to move. I'm telling you from 18 years of observations, they won't. They will keep coming to the same nesting sites until they have been killed. These animals are a long-lived species of up to 80 plus years, so it is easy to think that there is a healthy large population at this lake. However, Dr. Anthony Santoro has shown that there is no juvenile recruitment happening. That means there are no hatchlings making it to adulthood to replace what is the most certainly an ageing population of turtles. If you build this facility, not only are you ensuring the death of the adult turtles that use this location to nest, but you're also removing a key nesting site, ensuring they will never be able to have the opportunity to contribute to future generations of this species. If you care about Lake Joondalup and have any commitment to environmental stewardship of the very little remnant vegetation and natural habitat within the city of Wanneroo that is suitable for the oblong turtles, for your residents and their future generations, you will find another way to meet the needs of your growing community at the expense of the natural environment and flora and fauna that depend on it. And that, I think, is the end of her statement. Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to say something, Councillor Miles?
Yeah,
Deputy
thank
Mayor
you,
Miles?
Mayor. Can we bring item 411 forward, please?
Yes, I don't have a problem with bringing item 411 forward. Does it need to be second because it's an agenda briefing? Okay. It's 410, not 411, Councillor Miles.
Sorry.
Okay, so we will bring 410, the Wanneroo Recreation Centre Sports Hub Engagement Outcomes. Ms Davis, would you like to come to the table, and any of the other managers, please? Ms Davis.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Aitken and elected members. Administration will take 410 as read on the Wanneroo Rec Centre Sports Hub Engagement Outcomes, noting that we anticipate there will be questions. The Acting Manager of Community Facilities, Mr Star Wars, will be available for questions around facility planning and engagement outcomes. And we also have Mr Singh, Director of Assets, who would be better placed to respond to questions regarding detailed design and construction.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm not really going to ask any questions because I just want to let Council know I'm going to foreshadow an alternate for a fortnight for our OCM and make the changes required. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? I'll ask Councillor Wright because he's Ward Council, then I'll go to Councillor Parker. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Just referring to page 255, there was some comments from the administration around the environmental flora and fauna. And I also articulated the same concerns at the concept forum that this was discussed around making sure that all reports are tabled for council. And I did clearly articulate my view to the administration if those reports were not added to the public agenda, why these reports weren't, as council will need to make a decision on this. So I suppose my question is, on page 255 and 257, it refers to an environmental matters advice report, an environmental planning consideration report, an arborist assessment, a turtle management plan, a bushfire management plan, and a traffic impact assessment. Why have these reports not been tabled in the public arena and for councillors to use to cast their vote?
Ms Davis? Oh, Mr Stalwarts.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wright, for your question. Yes, the report refers to a number of detailed technical reports that have informed the agenda report on this matter. There are a number of them, but we're happy to attach those reports to the agenda if that be preferred by council members.
Thank you. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. On page 261, there was a comment that if option 2 was to go ahead, we could lose the state government funding. At a previous forum discussion, I asked if Sabine Winton could be approached about possibly changing and having a look at how Scenic Park was progressing. Was this ever done? Did we ever contact Sabina and say, look, would we lose the funding if we changed the scope or if we changed direction? Was she ever approached for this? And did she say that the funding would be lost if we did?
Ms Davis.
Through yourself, Mayor, thank you for the question. I am aware that there are ongoing meetings scheduled between the member as well as administration. However, in this instance, an assessment of the grant application and the conditions of the grant has been considered. It isn't our interpretation that a variation or any requirement of the grant is required at this stage. However, we can look into that a bit further.
Thank you. Councillor Parker.
So just to follow on that, would it be possible to perhaps get a hold of her this week and actually confirm before the meeting next week?
Ms Davis.
I can definitely make that suggestion. Our correspondence through to political members happens at a higher level, and we'll make that suggestion and try and get in contact with Ms Winton.
Thank you.
Just in following on from that,
Councillor
I know
Parker?
that the question was asked a considerable amount of time ago, so it would have been nice to have had that tonight. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Figg.
Sorry, Mayor, moving this item forward caught me off guard a little bit. I actually have a declaration of impartiality to make about this item, if I could. With regard to item 4.10, I disclose that I work for the member for Wanneroo. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected, and I declare that I will consider this matter on the merits and vote accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. A number of the deputations referred to questions that they'd asked through their submissions that had been unanswered. Now, the administration, I believe, has said that they responded to each submission. Can I ask the administration, in their response, was it just simply to say that this matter was coming before council, or did you individually address the questions and the issues raised in the constituents' correspondence? Mr Stalwarts.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Rowe. I think there was a couple of parts to those inquiries. The first part was in relation to the two petitions. Those were both tabled at the council meeting in November, so we haven't responded to the issues raised in those petitions specifically, other than what is included in the agenda report for this matter. It does reference both petitions in the agenda report, and both lead petitioners were contacted and advised that the matters raised in their petitions would be addressed through this report. In relation to submissions that were made by community members during the public advertising period, generally our approach is not to respond to each and every issue raised in each of those submissions, because sometimes there are very large numbers of them. What we generally do is summarise and review the key themes and issues raised across all submissions received on major proposals and prepare responses to each and every one of those major themes that arise. I appreciate there may be some issues that questions have been raised that haven't been responded to specifically, but because of the large number, we generally try and summarise and respond to those that way.
Councillor Rowe.
Thanks, Mayor. Is it standard practice to integrate the response to a community petition into the report dealing with the outcome of the consultation engagement? I'm aware of other examples in the past, Mayor, where we have dealt with response to petition as standalone items rather than integrating them all into the one report. So is this standard practice, and why have we deviated from what we ordinarily do?
Mr Starwitz.
Thank you, through the Chair. In my time, I've seen it dealt with in both ways. Sometimes we respond specifically to the petition with a standalone report. In this instance, because both petitions were dealing specifically with the Wanneroo Sports Hub and raising issues that were very, very similar to the issues raised in submissions during public advertising, it was felt that we could deal with responses to both those petitions through the one report.
Any other questions? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The report shows that there's a funding shortfall of approximately $10.4 million. Can admin please explain how that shortfall will be covered if we are unsuccessful with grants?
Mr Starwitz.
Thank you, through the Chair, Mayor. Thank you for the question. Yes, you're correct. There is currently a funding shortfall. Administration's intent is to apply for grants where possible to make up as much of that shortfall as we can. But as there's no guarantee of success, then if that is the case, then Council will need to consider other funding options for that.
Any other questions? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just my last question. With 71% being negative sentiment in submissions and 2 petitions requesting reconsideration of the site, can I just ask how admin has concluded that option 1 is the best option and is the preferred direction of our local community?
Mr Starwitz.
Thank you, through the Chair. Thanks for your question, Councillor Moore. When we consider submissions received on proposals, we try and consider the broad range of issues that are at play. Obviously, there are the issues raised during public advertising. There are also the fact that there, as many of those deputations have raised, an extension of history to the project, and there have been various planning phases that have already progressed through, and Council's made decisions at various stages in that process. So at this point in the project, as there has been a lot of work and funding commitments made, we've tried to assess those things on balanced to make a recommendation. There are risks associated with both options, and we felt that the risk with option 1 was less than option 2 at this stage.
Any other questions? Councillor Wright and then Councillor Nguyen. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of questions, but I'll just start with my first one. Just on going back to Councillor Rowe's questioning around the administration not being able to respond to questions or providing a summary. I'm just interested because on the Your Say website, there's a statement that the administration makes around feedback will be considered and that the city has a working question and answers document. Now, I'm just having a look at the information on that question and answers document. The last time it was updated was the 22nd of August 2025. Can the administration confirm or provide any information around how many times that document was updated to, I guess, expand on the themes or submissions that were received?
Mr Storwitz.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have to take that one on notice, Councillor Wright, and I'll confirm how many times that was reviewed and updated before next week.
Do you have another question? Should I go to Councillor Nguyen?
You can go to Councillor Nguyen.
Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. My first question, I've got three questions. My first question relates to page 261 of the report, and it was touched on by Councillor Parker before. I too, at Concept Forum, supported quite strongly the need to confirm the potential loss of grant funding from the member for Wanneroo. The director mentioned that based on the grant documentation or application guidelines or whatever for this particular project, it is the view of the city that there will likely be a loss of funding. How confident are we on that, or is that just an assumption or a prediction?
Mr Storwitz.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Nguyen, through the chair. The grant agreement for this project refers to funding to assist the city to upgrade the Wanneroo Recreation Centre precinct, including the provision of a sports hub at Scenic Park. We feel that the current project and concept plan, as advertised, is consistent with the scope of the funding agreement at this stage.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. Just following on from that, is it possible for Council to be provided with a copy of the funding agreement so we can have a look and maybe highlight it with the relevant portion that you relied on to come to that conclusion?
Ms Davis or Mr Storwitz? Mr Storwitz.
Thank you, through the chair. Yes, we'll provide a copy prior to next week, Councillor Nguyen.
Do you have another question, Councillor Nguyen?
I have another two, if I may, Mayor. My second question relates to the same page of the report 261, and there is a statement in there saying that this option involves disregarding the extensive work undertaken over the last 4 years. Is the administration able to put a dollar value or an approximate dollar value on the amount of work that's been taken so far, so we can have an idea of what it is that is causing concern for the administration if this project was to be adopted under option 2?
Mr Storwitz.
Thank you, through the chair, Councillor Nguyen. I guess we can provide that information before next week.
Councillor Nguyen.
Yes, my final question, Mayor. On the same page, and just below in the next paragraph, it says, given the constraints that exist around finding suitable sites to this type of facility, we have heard quite clearly from the community and the deputation tonight that one of the locations or the alternative locations is adjacent to the Wanneroo Showgrounds. To be honest, that sounds quite logical given everything else that's going there. Can I just ask administration, has serious consideration been given to alternative locations before this particular statement in the report is made?
Mr Storwitz.
Thank you, through the chair. Councillor Nguyen, yes, that site adjacent to the Wanneroo Sports and Social Club on Leach Road was extensively investigated. It does have some challenging topographical issues on that site. I think as a result of that, the cost to construct the facility there was significantly higher than the site at Scenic Park. Not that it couldn't be developed there, but the cost was significantly higher.
Councillor C.
Thank you, Mayor. Just addressing the point of the funding guidelines and the likelihood that we might lose the funding, would administration agree that it is quite a normal course of action in these types of situations where variations of scope can be submitted and a change to the guidelines can be made?
Mr Storwitz.
Sorry, I still have my mic on. Thank you through the chair. Yes, council could request a variation from the state government. There's no guarantee that that would be approved, but we could certainly make that request.
Deputy Mayor Miles and then Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just one, I guess it's a point of clarification from Mrs O'Brien's comment. Is there been any discussion between the state government and council administration on the expansion of the Yelagonda Regional Park?
Mr CEO.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, Councillor Miles. I'm just looking at, I'm looking at myself and then my directors, and they all don't want to answer that question, so I'm assuming there probably hasn't been, so we would need to take that on notice and confirm that for the council meeting.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. The first question is more rhetorical. On page 261, the line in the indented paragraph says, in addition, it would likely involve losing existing grant funding commitments. Now, the administration this evening has said that they have not made approaches to get that confirmed from the member. Can the administration reflect on whether it is appropriate to use the words likely as a probability when they have not sought that assurance from the very individual who made the funding commitment?
Mr Stallworth.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair, yes, we'll take that feedback. Thank you.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. Page 254 indicates that with 329 negative responses, equivalent of 71%, from the time that the administration evaluated the consultation outcomes to this evening, has the administration's professional opinion always been to stay with option 1, or has administration adjusted its professional opinion in that time between closure and tonight?
Mr Stallworth.
Apologies, I still had my mic on again. Thank you through the chair. We try not to release and defend proposals. We certainly advertise proposals and review and consider all submissions received on their merit. In this instance, we felt like in responding to the issues raised in submissions that we were able to address those satisfactorily through the preparation of this report and the assessment of submissions more generally. We do note that there is the one issue relating to turtle management that requires further stakeholder engagement in order to find a resolution, as we're not turtle management experts. However, on balance, our recommendation option 1 was based on the fact that we felt like the issues raised in submissions were satisfactorily addressed.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I will go to that point that the manager just raised around the draft turtle management plan. I know councillors have seen the draft turtle management plan because that was released via email to us. However, the confirmed report again, and as you're taken on notice for the ordinary council meeting that all those reports would be provided, how would administration deal with the turtle management plan side of things, considering that in the report you said it hasn't been finalised, it's in a draft stage, and there's significant consultation that needs to be done with DBCA and the Friends of Yelagonga group. So between now and Tuesday next week, how is the administration proposing to update council on the finalisation of that management plan?
Mr Stallworth.
Thank you through the chair for your question, Councillor Wright. Yes, the turtle management plan in essence is draft, but it's been prepared by an external consultant and is, all intents and purposes, a final in terms of what they're recommending. We were intending to engage and get feedback on the management plan from DBCA and Friends of Yelagonga as major stakeholders in relation to the management of the Yelagonga Regional Park, to make sure that what that consultant was recommending was valid and reasonable and accurate in terms of how turtles should be managed in response to any development on that site. And we felt that we didn't want to rely on that advice until we'd done that engagement. So at this stage, if council were to support option 1, we would seek to engage further with DBCA and Friends of Yellowgonga through the detailed design process, as they weren't able to provide feedback during the public comment period.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose just a supplementary to that, Council's role is to make an informed decision at meetings. If we don't have the facts in front of us to make that decision, example, turtle management plan, which is, again, I think it was ranked quite high in the consultation period, how can Council cast a vote on something it doesn't have the information in front of them?
Mr Storts.
Thanks for your question, Councillor Wright, through the Chair. The turtle management plan, I guess, is proposing management measures in response to a development on that site. It's not a plan that seeks to evaluate multiple sites and determine what's the best outcome from a turtle management perspective. So it makes a number of recommendations as to if the development were to proceed, how would that development occur to either avoid or minimise any adverse impact on turtle populations, and that primarily relates to proper and timely fencing of the site, regular inspections of that fencing, spotting and fauna management observers during the process of construction or site clearing, and making sure that that work was done at the appropriate time when turtles are either not hatching or not seeking to access those hatching sites. So I guess to answer the question, if Council were to proceed with the current site, I feel like the turtle management plan would provide sufficient guidance as to how turtles should be managed through the construction phase. If Council was wanting to reconsider previous sites that it had previously assessed, then we'd need to do further investigation on that matter.
Councillor Wright, then Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose I'll rephrase my question. The City, in its report, mentions the Environmental Planning Considerations Report and the Environmental Matters Advice Report. Can the administration confirm, if Council was to choose option 1, is there an impact to turtles in Lake Yellowgonga or within the regional park? Did both of those reports talk about an impact due to the physical infrastructure on that particular space that we are planning on? Did those reports mention or include anything related to turtles at all? Because environment, from our discussions through another forum, was built environment, flora and fauna. So I'm supposing that the report had information around turtles and flora and fauna considered, not just the actual physical environment itself.
Mr Storts.
Thanks for your question through the Chair. Yeah, the EPC report will normally identify flora and fauna considerations on the site that needs to be addressed through the process of planning and or construction. I'll take that on notice to confirm exactly what it says in relation to turtles, but I'm guessing that it would have flagged that issue that needed further investigation, hence the turtle management plan was commissioned from that point.
Thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'm down to my last 2 questions. Page 261, and this was a question also asked by one of the deputations, it says that if we were to proceed with option 2, would likely incur termination fees for the current contractor. Can I get some further explanation as to who this current contractor is and what body of work they are undertaking, given that we are yet to fully proceed with detailed design?
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. It is actually our architects who've been appointed to do the detailed design for the project. They were commissioned last year in December, and that's reference been made to that.
Another question, Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. My last question relates to the funding agreement that I now understand we are to be provided a copy with. I believe, Mayor, it was signed late last year. Can I confirm if it refers specifically to the original concept design that was endorsed by Council, or more broadly to the project as a whole? And if it does refer to the initial concept design, had the City approached the state government with a variation request, given the design was significantly amended from when the agreement was signed?
Mr Storts.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe, through the Chair. The funding agreement, as you'll see when we distribute that, does include as an as an appendix a copy of the concept plan that was in effect at the time. However, it doesn't specifically require the development to reflect that concept plan accurately. It does provide a project description, and it provides some performance measures that are required to be met to satisfy the funding, and they relate broadly to, as I mentioned earlier, the upgrades of facilities at the Wanneroo Rec Precinct, and in particular the sports hub at Scenic Park.
Councillor Rowe.
Could I ask the CEO, through yourself, Mayor, if some urgent advice can be sought before the OCM, what the potential implications are around this funding? I think we can see there's a degree of concern tonight about the risk of it being retained or lost, the risk of whether we'd need a variation or not, if we were in breach of the funding agreement or not. I think we need some guidance in order to be able to vote on a matter where $5 million is at stake. Can I please seek some assurance that that information will be forthcoming by next week?
Mr CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe. We'll do our best to reassure Council. And obviously we go through a process tomorrow where we seek to work through the questions that have been asked by Council tonight and come up with a bit of a plan in terms of how we're going to respond to those. Given the tight turnaround, and I'm talking tight because we don't have a gap between obviously tonight's briefing and next week's meeting, we need to have the agenda finalised by Friday, I believe. So it's an incredibly tight turnaround. So it may not be in the agenda, but we will do our best to have that information available to Council. But I can't make any promises because of the tight turnaround.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose my last set of questions now go to the alternative sites that have been described in the report. But I want to go back to a point that around when items come from the other place and are discussed with council members for feedback and ideas, and then they come to this place, I'm just curious to know what the administration's policies are around updating reports to be reflective of this. And I remember a number of councillors suggested alternative sites that don't fit in these four, yet we still haven't been provided with information around what those alternative other sites are. So I know Councillor Parker suggested some, myself, I think Councillor Seif, Councillor Huntley. There's a couple of councillors that suggested alternatives, just throwing it out there, you know, yep, maybe a lot of them might not be possible, but there was no information in the report other than the original four, which was considered at the very first feasibility stage. So I'm wanting to know why, when council raises issues in a concept forum, these issues are not being updated in the report to ensure that that information becomes transparent around what discussions happen in that environment and then come into the council chambers. Because I believe that's a fundamental part that's missing in this report, is around the concerns that was raised by the elected member group and are not being relayed in the report. So could I just seek some clarity, A, what is the administration's current process, and B, where is the information on those alternative sites that the administration had taken and noted in their note-taking?
Mr Storts.
Thank you, Councillor Wright, through the chair. We'll often workshop matters with council members to seek feedback or direction or to help us shape recommendations. However, ultimately those issues are presented to council for consideration, and in this case we are actioning council's decision in relation to advertising the concept plan for the facility at Scenic Park. Yeah, I can't comment. I wasn't involved previously in the alternative sites you may have provided feedback on, but the ones I'm aware of are referred to in the report. I'm happy to take further direction on what you're seeking there.
Councillor Wright, follow-up question.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose supplementary, has administration considered the new oval space that is being developed in Sinagra? That's part A. Part B, has administration considered the oval that is being built in Precinct 3, which again is due for council's consideration next week? C, has administration considered more detailed approaches to the Chrysophylle Avenue or Leach Road site? And D, I'm trying to think of the last one that I suggested. It would have been, I'll stick with those three because I can't remember the other site, but I will happy to provide that in writing for the administration to consider. So have those A, B and C been considered in further detail from the concept forum?
Mr Stewart.
Thank you, Councillor Wright, for clarifying. And through the chair, no, we haven't done further detailed feasibility or analysis of those sites. As mentioned, we've been investigating and progressing the site that we have an open council resolution for, being Scenic Park. Should council ultimately decide to not proceed with that site location and request further detailed investigation into other sites, then we would action that request accordingly.
Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. During Concept Forum, I also raised a question in relation to alternative site, which I suggested East Wanneroo as an area. East Wanneroo is due to become a thriving community in the not too distant future. Is there any reason why East Wanneroo could not be considered as part of the consideration for alternative sites?
Mr Stewart? Or Mr Dixon? Mr Dixon.
Through you, Mayor, and thank you for the question. There will certainly be a significant number of new public open space areas, new recreation facilities within the East Wanneroo area. Predominantly those new facilities will be to cater for the new population, the 150,000 residents that are planned within East Wanneroo. However, consideration, if council wishes, consideration can be given to looking at opportunities for recreation centres in the short term, if that's something that council wishes administration to investigate.
Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. Just my final question. Given the number of, I guess, questions and concerns, significant concerns that have been raised, in my opinion, tonight, is there any issue with this? And I hate to push this back any further because obviously the community needs closure on this. But would there be any problem with pushing this back to enable administration to come to council and provide us with the further information rather than, doing a mad rush between now and next week in order to inform us? A lot of these should have been undertaken with all due respect, a lot of the work that we've asked for. Is there any problem with this report coming back, say, next year?
Mr CEO.
I think either the Director or Mr Starwitz was keen to answer this one, but I'll take it. So I guess the job of the administration is to provide the council with the information that you need to make an informed decision. So that is the only reason that we would withdraw an item from a council meeting agenda. As I said, first thing tomorrow morning, we typically catch up as a group and we run through all of the questions that have been asked tonight. And from time to time, we'll get to the point where we say, no, we need to provide the group with more information, and we will delay a report going to council. I can't say whether that will happen in this instance. That's a discussion that we have tomorrow. If we feel as though the council has enough information to make a decision from the administration's perspective, then it really rests fairly with the council to then move a procedural motion at the council meeting to defer it pending the supply of more information, or as the Deputy Mayor has raised earlier when he foreshadowed that he would be moving an alternate. So we don't know what that alternate will look like yet. We will work very closely with the Deputy Mayor to make sure that it is presented to the elected group in a manner that can be considered by the group. But until we work through tomorrow to decide whether we think you've got the information that you need to make an informed decision, it's almost impossible to say whether the administration would hold the item back. If we don't, it would be up to the elected group.
Councillor Neal.
Sorry, Mayor, I said that was my final question, but just to follow up. Tomorrow's Wednesday. The meeting agenda needs to be finalised by Friday, you said. So really, effectively, administration has got a day or so to chase up all of this information. I'm sceptical, with all due respect, that we will get all the information we need. So therefore, in the absence of further information as requested by a number of councillors, I foreshadow a procedural motion next week to basically push this back until we have full or as full information as possible in order to help us make a decision.
Councillor C, if you have a question.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't feel like we have enough information here to make a decision at the next ordinary council meeting. The alternative sites, which Councillor Wright mentioned, and a few other councillors have
Needs to
mentioned.
be a question. How are you going to make it a question?
I'm just foreshadowing that I second Councillor Nguyen's motion to defer.
Fine. Okay, I have some questions. Councillor Berry, go first.
Thank you, Mayor. I've only got two questions. It follows on from Councillor Rowe's question, really, about the contractors and the state government funding. The word likely has been used again in incurring the termination fees for the current contractor. Have we had a discussion with the current contractor, and do we know if we are actually going to have termination fees, and are they actually in that contract? Is my first question. Thank you.
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. No, we haven't had any consultations with the architect. We'll look at the contract which we have with the architect and see what the implications will be in that case.
Councillor Berry.
Thank you. And my second question goes back to when Councillor Nguyen was asking about the alternative sites, and we were told that there would be significantly higher costs for an alternative site. And then in a few responses later, we were told that there hadn't been any work done on the sites that are on page 256. So how can administration say that the other sites are going to come with significantly higher costs when only one of them was mentioned as having a different topography? Thank you.
Mr. Stoltz.
Thank you, Councillor Berry, for your question. Through the chair, those 4 sites referred to on page 256, Wanneroo Recreation Precinct, Scenic Park, Pizage Park, Crisafulli Avenue and Leach Road. Those 4 sites were subject to detailed investigation and feasibility analysis. The additional sites that Councillor Wright referred to in Sinagra, Precinct 3, haven't been.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Figg. I'll go last. Councillor Figg.
Are you sure? I've got a few. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Through you. So I'll start with, pardon me. Why was it necessary to engage a consultant to review the feedback that we received during the consultation, the engagement period?
Ms. Davis.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Figg. There was a significant amount of feedback that did come back, and it was quite disparate from feedback that we had received previously. So whilst administration did have an assessment of that feedback entirely, we thought it would be in the best interest in developing the report to have an independent advisor just to make that assessment. So we did.
Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Can administration advise how much the contract with the consultant was worth?
Ms. Davis.
Through yourself, Mayor, I will find out and add that into the additions to the report.
Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Is administration able to advise the population growth within the catchment area for the recreation centre, which necessitated its, I guess, upgrade to the current proposed form?
Mr. Stoltz.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Figg. Through the chair, the planning work indicated that within the catchment of the facility, the population is likely to double within the next 20 years through to 2041. Estimated at 133,044 people within a 5-kilometre radius.
Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple more. How often is it that the city includes in the design of a facility rooms specific to particular groups. So I guess I refer to the calisthenics room and the boxing room rather than multi-purpose facilities, as is the case with most other facilities we build.
Mr Stallworth.
Thanks, Councillor Figg, for your question through the chair. In this instance, I guess the aim of the planning process was to try and find appropriate spaces for all existing user groups of the facilities at the Wanneroo Rec Precinct, whether that be in the sports hub or the community hub, but existing user groups accommodated within any future or upgraded facility. Although they are identified as boxing room and calisthenics room, they are still essentially multi-purpose spaces that could be used by other groups if those groups cease to operate.
Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Last one that I have here. Sorry, no, that was the last one. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got some questions here myself, and probably the first one goes to Mr Dixon from Planning. Was Scenic Drive originally designed in size to be a bypass road for the Wanneroo Township?
It's hard for me in terms of the original design to answer that question. Certainly, the road reserve for Scenic Drive is very large. It's about 40 metres as a road reserve. At the moment, the approximate road width is 8.5 metres, but the road reserve is 40 metres. So I think the intention some time ago, in the 1970s, I understand, was for that road to deliver a bypass for Wanneroo. Obviously, that has never come to pass.
So with the road reserve to deliver a bypass, was the planning done at that time to minimise the houses and all of that directly onto that street, if that time at the planning it was designed so that none of the houses directly reversed onto Scenic Drive? There were side roads brought around so that minimised individual car access, that it came through the roads like San Rosa, Ariti, and not directly from roads that run parallel to Scenic Drive. That would have been part of the intention in the initial planning design. Is that correct, Mr Dixon?
Mayor, it's hard for me to envisage, I was a young boy in the 1970s, as to what the intent behind the road reserve design. Yeah. So I couldn't definitively tell you. However, I do note that there are limited access points at some stages of Scenic Drive onto Scenic Drive from housing.
So that would help with traffic management along Scenic Road, along Rotary Park, along the new bird viewing platform that's about to be opened, and the current community centre there, and the activated space that would provide adequate traffic management for that area with that previous planning decisions. Would that be correct, Mr Dixon, or Mr Singh, or Mr Stallworth?
I think certainly that the road reserve is wide enough to accommodate traffic improvements to assist in any updated traffic management plans, noting that obviously the existing road doesn't take up the whole portion of the 40-metre wide road reserve.
I've still got more questions, I'll come later. Now, the pitch that is next to where the sports hub is going to be, I understood that was going to be turned a different way and that we would still have a soccer pitch there. It just wouldn't face north-south, it would face east-west. Is that correct, so that we wouldn't actually lose a pitch with this design? Mr Stallworth?
Thank you, Mayor. The current concept design proposes that the sports hub and the associated car park be located on that scenic park rectangular pitch, and it would take up the entirety of that pitch.
Thank you for that correction. I'm looking at the bushfire zoning risk on page 253. It states there that the bushfire zoning regulations were updated in 2024. the plans were signed off in December 24. Was this state government legislative requirement that affected the design that we brought to council for the hub? Because these bushfire zoning regulations were changed in 2024 by the state government.
Thank you for the question, Mayor. We can only go on what requirements are in place at the time, noting that the previous concept was quite high level. It may not have properly considered bushfire risk at that time. Certainly the updated concept that was advertised for comment did consider the updated bushfire regulations that were in place and did propose the facility be moved further eastwards to avoid the high bushfire risk areas.
And that was the state government legislative bushfire regulations that we had to comply with. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, Mayor.
And I just want to clarify that in this facility, they're looking at having a changing places facility. Is that correct? Because that would be of benefit to Rotary Park, to the community centre and to all users of the park to have a changing places facility. I'm confirming, is that correct that that's to be there? I think if you have a look on page 253, halfway down.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, that's correct.
And so if this project didn't go ahead, how would we get a changing places facility in there for disability access for all members of the community? Would we be able to plan for that alternatively, or would this be the best way to go for our disabled community?
Thank you, Mayor. If Council decided not to proceed with the current concept design, we'd have to revisit how that facility may be provided within that precinct.
I'm looking at the basketball courts. Was the WA basketball consulted to give feedback in this sports hub in the engagement when it was done? Because at the moment we're turning away thousands of kids from basketball. There's not enough basketball courts, and 2 basketball courts, I understand, would enable a wobble team to be put there to feed in to basketball. Did you consult or engage with WA basketball or with the basketball team across the road or across the lake?
Thank you for your question, Mayor. The basketball and other state sporting associations were consulted and engaged through the previous planning phase for this project.
Were they supportive of this?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, they were.
Thank you. And that's my questions. Councillor Parker, did you have more questions?
Thanks, Mayor. Just going back to something that you said. So to your question of the scenic drive use, with the knowledge that we have today, would the scenic drive road comply in the form it was intended in the 70s today?
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, the level of service provided by Scenic Drive is kind of sufficient for that type of road. So I think it meets its purpose.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Berry.
Can I just ask, has administration applied for change in places funding for that change in places, and are we at risk of losing that funding if it has been applied for? Thank you.
Ms Davis.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Berry, and through the Mayor. In regards to this project for changing places, that hasn't been applied for yet.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've spoken about Rotary Park. Is it possible that we could apply for the changing places funding for Rotary Park, especially with the second stage coming up?
Ms Davis.
Through yourself, Mayor, it naturally with any kind of assessment. So our changing places applications, the expression of interest actually comes with a full detailed design that would need to go as part of the application for that. So if that work hasn't been done, we wouldn't be in a place to apply for funding for changing places.
Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. I got my last question. It came back to me. And it does it touches on your comments around the bushfire zoning and the shifting of the site to where it's currently proposed. Would admin see it as feasible, or is it possible that the design could return to its original form as it was before the meeting in July?
Mr Stallworth.
Thank you, Councillor Figg, through the chair. I think the concept as it's presented now, the one that was advertised for comment, was revised from the original design for a number of reasons, but primarily to avoid or minimise impact on the environment, particularly vegetation clearing, bushfire risk, proximity to wetland buffer. So you could revert to the previous design, but it certainly would likely have, or I think in the administration's view, it would have a more significant impact on the local environment.
Any other questions, councillors? Okay, if there are no other questions, we will move on to the agenda proper. Thank you everyone for coming this evening and listening to... Oh, you've got another question, councillor?
No, Mayor, can we have a short break, if that's okay?
Well, let me just finish this item before we do that. So thank you very much for coming, and we will have our council meeting next week and look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everyone, and we will have a 5-minute break. Thank you. So councillors have not turned up. Where are my councillors? All right, well, I'm declaring an interest in this item. I'm sorry, the council meeting has commenced. The briefing has commenced. I declare an interest in item 4.1, which is a financial interest. I will be leaving the room. Thank you.
Okay, where are we? Thank you very much, councillors. We're moving on to item 4.1. As the Mayor has made a declaration, then she's had to leave the room. So with that, 4.1 is land use and planning environment. So Mr Dixon, do you wish to talk on this item?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, no, we're happy to take any questions on this item.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Councillor Berry?
Can somebody close the door so we can actually hear what's going on, please? Thank you.
Oh, it's too quiet. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. In relation to this item, can I confirm through yourself that this is the consideration of DPS 2, but there is also a local planning policy that will be coming before council on this matter after advertising?
Through you, Chair, yes, that is the case. There will be a report hopefully coming to the February council meeting on that local planning policy.
Councillor Rowe.
And just supplementary, between now and that council meeting when the item comes before us, can we get some further clarification on locational criteria for short-term stays and any update in the positions that other councils or the state government has taken? Because I understand the dynamic of the housing sector is completely different to what it was 12 months ago.
Director Dixon.
Certainly, we'll provide that information for elected members.
Are there any other questions, councillors, for this item? If there are no other questions, and I'm not going to ask any questions, but if there are no other questions, we'll call the Mayor back in and move on to item 4.2. I will pause and return to my chair.
Item on the agenda, item 4.2, consideration of Precinct 3 Elliott Road Local Structure Plan following advertising. Mr Dixon, would you like to speak to this item?
Mayor, I don't propose to provide a detailed introduction to this item, just to note that an email was sent to each of the elected members last Thursday responding to all the questions and issues raised when the matter was presented to the November council meeting. Mr Devekis and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, councillors. Any questions on this item? There don't seem to be any questions on this item, so we go to assets with Mr Singh and item 4.3, the Walga E-quote recommendation. Mr Singh, are there any items on tonight's agenda you'd like to speak to?
Thank you, Mayor. No, we got 6 items on the agenda tonight. I got Mr. Aaron McNeish, our Manager of Fleet Services, who will respond to the questions on item 4.3, and Mr. Barker on a couple of traffic reports. And then Mr. Ford will join me for one of the items. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, do I have any questions on item 4.3? Councillor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. My question, I've got 2 questions on 4.3. My first one was on page 202, it does talk about the reason why administration want to split the award of the Dennis Eagle waste trucks against the Volvo FE280 waste trucks. My question is, Was the drivers in the waste fleet able to test drive both of these vehicles before we make this decision?
Thank you. Mr Nish.
Through the chair, thank you for your question. In this instance, they were not able to drive the latest model of those trucks, but the Volvo FE280 is the city's current waste truck, so they're very familiar with that. And they've previously driven the previous iteration of the Dennis Eagle, so they have had the ability to operate both vehicles.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you. And also under the financial implications on 203, I note that we're using an e-quote from Walga. The financial implication is how much does Walga get from this quote?
Mr McNeish.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. The exact number is commercial in confidence, but Walga does take up to a 2% fee from the actual members of the PSP. So the city doesn't pay that. The actual contractors that want to go onto the panel, they actually are charged that fee monthly. So basically, they get reported every month what contracts they've won through the eQuotes portal, and then a certain percentage as per their contract is invoiced to them by Walga.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you. My final question is, and really under the financial implications, is what do we expect to receive from the sale of replacement trucks, or are these additional?
Mr McNeish.
13 of these are replacement trucks, so we generally expect to receive a 20% residual on our existing trucks. So I could take that on notice and get an exact figure for you based on our current book value. But 2 of those trucks are new additional trucks to our fleet.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 4.3, councillors? If there are no questions on item 4.3, I now go to item 4.4. Any questions on item 4.4? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 questions from myself. Page 205 refers to all of the different roads within the suburb that are proposed to receive traffic treatments. Is the administration able to circulate any specific data that explains why those roads were selected? Obviously, there's some summary points in there about the total number of incidents or the total number or summary, but for the individual roads that were selected and why the specific type of treatment was selected as the best choice of traffic calming measure.
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. It was a general assessment based on traffic volumes, the accident records, and also the number of other users, so vulnerable road users, pedestrians, cyclists, to determine what were the appropriate treatments.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. And for the benefit of our many viewers listening at home, can the administration confirm that this particular program and all of the proposals are currently available on the city's Your Say page, open for community engagement?
Mr Barker.
Thank you for the question, through the chair. Yes, they are indeed on our Your Say webpage. When last checked, we had received approximately 60 submissions. So it is out there to the public. We did also send out 4,500 letters, so every resident and property owner in the area has got one. So yeah, we wait their responses with expectations, yes.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. It was a good report. I'm just wondering, you've obviously elaborated on Councillor Rowe's question around why the suburb of Girrawayne was chosen. Is Main Roads, or have you had discussions with Main Roads with other suburbs of interest to run a similar scheme for?
Mr Barker.
Yes, again, thank you for the question. Yes, there is a limited amount of funding available metro-wide, so we were restricted to one suburb at a time. But yeah, the next round that comes available, then yes, certainly there sadly are other suburbs within Wanneroo that do qualify or will qualify.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Figg.
I know that there's a significant number of measures, which is good. I guess the question relates to that number of measures. Do they take into account alternative routes which could otherwise be used by traffic, so it eliminates, I guess, people trying to use alternative routes and then just shifting the problem elsewhere within the suburb?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. Yes, a lot of these roads that we'll be treating are actually being used as alternative routes by people not staying on the main roads that they should do to avoid traffic signals and congestion. So we are anticipating that this will actually reduce overall traffic volumes through the suburb.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted some clarification. So does this program run every year that we apply for, or how often does it occur?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Unfortunately, no, it's not like other main roads programs that do have a set date, application date. This one depends when funding becomes available. So it's currently subscribed, fully subscribed, so we will have to wait for another budget allocation by the state government, and then we'll be able to apply again. So we are, as I've said, we are aware of other suburbs that we can apply for, and so we will be doing so as soon as we hear.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Figg.
This is a bit of a two-parter. Thank you, Mayor. So I assume the total funding that's indicated in the recommendation covers all of these projects. In particular, I'm looking at section A, which is the red asphalt speed plateau. So it covers all 33 of those plateaus within that funding envelope?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, that is correct. Bearing in mind the name of the project is for low-cost treatments, so unlike other plateaus where we have installed where you've got driveways, these plateaus will be, the locations have been selected where the works are relatively straightforward. So yeah, these costs are correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Miles. Oh, sorry. Can Alex do his second question first?
Thank you to you both. And you have partially answered it with that one, but I know that we have done some raised plateaus very recently. I know of one along Beachside Parade. What's the comparative cost for doing that one plateau as opposed to what looks like an extremely valuable or good value for money project such as this where we're doing 33? Can you give a bit of an assessment of that comparison, please?
Mr Barker.
I'll take that one on notice to give you the correct numbers, but these are probably a third of the cost because we're not modifying curbs or drainage.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, just part of that, my question was asked from Councillor Figg's question, but my other part of my question, obviously on page 204, it does indicate that Girraween drivers have a lot of crashes, hence why they got the work. Can I ask whether administration has the same data for all the suburbs within the city?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, we do. We haven't done that analysis. We do an overall analysis. We look at intersections in particular because we can and do make black spot applications for those. This is a separate grant, and as you'll appreciate the size of the grant as well, we wouldn't normally commit resources to looking at on a suburb by suburb basis.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Moore and
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm so sorry. On my previous question, is it yearly, like every second year, every third year? What sort of time frame are we looking at?
Mr Barker.
I don't know is the truthful answer. The first, I'll say the first, the early rounds were fully subscribed mainly by the inner councils. This has taken us probably 4 years to get to this point, so it's not a quick process. But yeah, next round that comes up, then we'll be in a better position to be able to apply. So I would anticipate, 12 months maybe, or maybe 2 years.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My follow-up question is, given that there are other suburbs that need to be done, have we looked at what the selection process will be to choose the next set of suburbs, and how would you go about choosing those?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you. Main Roads, we're in discussion with Main Roads, so they are doing the analysis of all the suburbs. They will look at the crash stats and record which suburbs are having higher numbers of people getting hurt on the roads. And then, yeah, they will come and talk to us, suggesting 2 or 3 suburbs, and then we'll look at the figures, look at what works are needed, and then decide from that.
Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to follow up on that, so have we already begun the process with Main Roads looking, have they already started that process so we're not having 4 years as a waiting period and we can expedite that?
Mr Barker.
Yes, Kundula was the next one, yeah. So again, based on the crash records.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess that foreshadows my next question. In regards to that and the prioritisation, can I just understand administration's process on why we don't, I guess, pre-map these traffic treatments at a suburb level and then recommend to council, I guess, the prioritisation? So similar like we do with our active transport plan, you've given us 60, 70 different projects for footpaths and roads. Why do we not do that for treatments in terms of here's everything for Hocking, here's everything for Yanchep, here's everything for Kundula. Based on our criteria, this is what we recommend as a prioritisation level, because at the moment, and I've noticed a lot of things that come through the assets team for grants is usually done under delegated authority and doesn't come through to council to actually prioritise what it sees fit for meeting our council plan objectives. So can I understand turning it from an administrative process to a council to be able to have influence over where things go? What's the, I guess, is there any reason why we don't do that at the moment? I understand there's safety and those types of implications with some of these projects, but initially shouldn't it be council that makes a recommendation on the prioritisation district-wide of how we want to achieve that list? Because eventually everything needs to get done at some point.
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, we have our road safety management policy. Well, yeah, we've got the local area traffic management plan, but we also, council recently adopted a road safety management, strategic plan, which identifies the criteria, the types of accidents that we're looking to reduce. So we look at that to determine which intersections and roads we treat.
I just want to ask a clarification question. This is a Main Roads-led initiative as to where it needs to be, is it? Or is council able to lead it and request it? Because there seems to be confusion about whether council should make the decision to do it but it's actually a main roads-led initiative, and if main roads don't agree, it doesn't happen. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Mayor. Yeah, in this particular funding, then yes, it was a main roads-led initiative, and they identified the location that they were suggesting should be treated.
And I know Mr Singh wants to respond, and is that how the continued funding will be done, as a main roads-led initiative, or will council be able to have influence on it?
For this particular type of funding, then it is the main roads-led initiative. For black spot funding and the other regular grant applications that we make, then there is a degree of we're able to tailor our applications. So,
Mr Singh, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I was going to elaborate a bit further what Mr. Barker has said. Given this is the main roads-led kind of initiative where we engage with them and they engage with us to arrive at the selected suburb, there are other, council has full control on local area traffic management policy projects, which are traffic treatments. Then we look at annually our black spot programs based on the crash data for last 5 years, identify which are the projects which can be submitted where we have high chance of success of funding as well. Similarly, for road improvement programs, previously road improvement was primarily for increasing road capacity. Last 4 or 5 years, the criteria has changed to include some intersection treatments where we can improve intersections. So you may have seen last 2 or 3 years, every year we present reports to council based on our work citywide to look at which are the intersections which have high chance of receiving funding or success against a competitive process, and then council makes a decision to submit those applications. In many cases, we submit the applications and see council endorsement, given that timing sometimes doesn't match. Sometimes we're given only short turnaround by main roads to submit applications, but they are always made subject to council's approval.
Thank you. Councillor Robb.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not even going to start my questioning on how many road safety projects we do a year, because quite frankly, for a city of our size, we should be doing a lot more. But I'm not talking about the main roads urban road safety program. I'm talking about the process. So going back 2 steps, when main roads comes to you as administration, you then present your case forward based on the data that you have available regarding suburbs. So what I'm trying to clarify, do we do a holistic picture where we've got that data for every single suburb, and then council should be able to prioritise those suburbs based on the criteria that we've set? So I know administration, I've requested every year that all the lists be provided to council for each road where the number sits within our policy. Same thing with our footpath program. So what I'm wanting to know is, when you get that list, I've never received a report from this administration that provides a list of 33 plateaus, which seems like a very good deal with the price we're getting for contractors, versus, as Councillor Figg was mentioning, doing one project at a time costing almost $1 million per project for certain speed bumps and traffics and other things. So if this low-cost treatment seems to be more effective, why isn't council having an influence at targeting suburb by suburb and doing 33 here, 33 here, 33 here? If it's going to work out cheaper in the long run, it would have to be building capacity within our administration to deliver that. So I'm trying to understand the processes, because at the moment, and you mentioned before, short term, when government agencies release something, we should already have that stuff planned. We should have technical drawings sitting on your SharePoint ready to go. As soon as Main Roads comes out with something, you go, oh, we've already got 20 or 30 projects ready to go. That is eligible. Not, oh, they've released the guidelines now, we're going to go and draft something up and submit it. So I'm trying to understand, we should have all these pre-designed in appropriate locations, because you've already got a number of projects around where they sit within dangerous limits, etc. So I'm asking, why is that work not being done now? So when programs do come up from time to time, you can almost just grab them from your computer and submit them and tweak them to what the guidelines are. So I'm trying to understand, at that level, we should have ready to go designs and projects, not waiting at last minute. So I'm wanting to know where in that influence process council can be involved, because at the moment, administration just recommends locations based on what you've proposed. And same with Black Spot, council doesn't have a say, it's based on X, Y and Z, and this is the top 3 locations. And then it's up to council if you want to amend it, but very rarely we do because we don't have that information to amend something of that size. So I'm wanting to know, what influence point do you want us to be able to intervene to go, we've got some other suggestions we're keen to hear admin's thoughts on?
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. My understanding is this particular program is led by Main Roads. So obviously they approach local authorities, and then again, Mr. Barker said it's a 4-year process to get us to the point where we are now. And obviously there will be, as the funding becomes available to Main Roads, we'll be working with them to identify our next suburbs, which the work is already happening. The next suburban line is Kandula, as Mr. Barker has outlined. For the black spots, I think we need to understand how the programs work. The black spot program is kind of based on last 5 years of crash data. So we continuously review that data and identify the top projects. It's not that we can't submit all intersections. It has to have certain level of return on the investment through the black spot program. That's why they ask for all this supporting information. So once we look at 2 years ahead for all those programs, like a black spot, we applied for 26, 27, about 3 or 4 months ago. So they look at 12 months ahead. Similarly for a road improvement program. And they're all competitive processes. They're not funding for each council. You have to be achieving, projects have to achieve certain scores to be in the list to get funding. Then the caps for each council apply. So we do work ahead of the time rather than working at the last minute. We do have some concept plans and looking at the projects which could attract funding so that we can apply with confidence to receive that funding.
Councillor Wright and then Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. My last question, I suppose asking a little bit more bluntly, does the administration require a resolution of council that requires the administration to undertake a district-wide plan with the actual locations of every single treatment for every suburb within a time period for it to come to council on an annual basis for review? Does administration require that as a resolution of this council?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this kind of conversation, I think we need to have at a council forum to understand the scope of work that's involved in what Councillor Wright has just mentioned. And then we look at what the implications are to develop that kind of program and how long that will take. And also we need to look at the benefit of that program. If I go back a couple of minutes what I was saying earlier, if council wishes to look at suburb using council's own funds, and then council could give us direction, we can work with council and say, look, these are the suburbs, rather than waiting for Main Roads to approach us when the funding becomes available. If council wants to intervene and do those projects with using council's own resources funding, then that's a separate conversation we need to have, and then council may give us direction to do that.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 further ones from myself. I don't usually ask the Dorothy Dixer, but I am going to tonight. Historically, has this council, because the question's been asked about prioritisation, historically, has this council changed its prioritisation through motions on notice presented to council, bringing forward funds for specific road projects and traffic calming measures, and also made amendments through the budget process? Is that correct?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, when we develop the program, we follow local area traffic management policy for traffic treatments. From time to time, council makes decisions and we implement those decisions.
Councillor Rowe.
And just my second question, I'd already foreshadowed to Mr. Singh, I don't like the name of the program because when you call it low cost, the perception in community can be quite severe. So can the Director provide some assurance this evening that while the program has its name, the measures being proposed are both safe, durable, reliable and efficient in tackling the issues of speeding?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, these proposals have been prepared based on the technical requirements of those intersections, and the treatments are proposed to be effective.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions on 4.4? If there are no more questions on 4.4, we now go to item 4.5, Traffic Management Scheme, Parkland Drive, Yanship. Are there any questions on that item? Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one in my mind at the moment, just referring to page 215, where we have some of the comments from the community consultation. In the last box, it speaks about the person who's submitted this objection obviously doesn't support the treatments, but they do go on to mention give way sign for traffic approaching the intersection with Marker Drive. And I know the one, Parkland Drive curves and Marker Drive continues straight, and Marker Drive is supposed to yield to Parkland Drive. One, I can't recall, I haven't driven there in a while, but is there a give way sign there already? And two, if not, can administration apply to have one placed there, please?
Mr Barker.
Thank you for the question, through the chair. My recollection is also that no, there is no physical give way sign. However, the intersection is designed and the paving types are different, so that Main Road's position is that when an intersection is like that, there is no need for a give way sign as well. So it's clear that you'd give way at the intersection.
Any other questions? Councillor Parker.
I just wanted a bit of a clarification as well. And I think this goes to what we've just been discussing as to the input that council needs to have when something like this comes before us. In this one, and I'm not getting at anybody, I just want to ask this question. I was always concerned about the traffic score of 23. Can you please just remind me what traffic score we actually look at before we actually look at putting traffic treatments in?
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Currently it is 60.
And that leads to...
Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that leads me to another question was, and this I find very difficult to explain to residents that ask me the same question. How do we then go about putting in a 23 score when your score is actually 78? How many roads we are actually pushing down the ladder? I don't know if there's a question there. There must be. But yeah, it just does concern me when we get questions from Councillor Wright to say, look, you know, we want to put this forward. I understand where you're coming from, but I think we have to be really careful. Do you agree?
Thank you for that question. This is why we have the local area traffic management policy. This is why we have a footpath policy, and these all identify the scores and how we rank the various projects to try and be able to compare one road with another road.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mayor. In regards to the traffic management policy and how things are assessed, currently there are a number of roads listed on that prioritisation list with a score above 60, which you said was eligible for an upgrade. However, when administration applies for grant funding, a lot of those roads that are 60 or above don't get considered. So can I seek some clarification from the administration? Even though there's a ranking system, we still don't have an oversight as to why the ones that are 60 or above don't get selected. Yet other projects still below 60 get pushed by the administration for grant funding.
Mr Barker.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. Where we can, we do apply for black spot funding. Just because a road qualifies under our local area traffic management policy and it identifies that it needs traffic treatments, doesn't necessarily mean that the number of crashes that are occurring would qualify for black spot funding. So some projects do, and then we do apply for them for black spot funding. but the majority of our local area traffic management projects have to be council funded because that's the only funding source available to us.
I've got a question.
Mayor, can I just add a sentence? I think that's how our draft program, Capital Works program, will indicate a number of projects are funded through council's own funds or using some roads to recovery funding.
If you look at page 210, at the meeting of council held on the 27th of May, council requested administration to develop on a priority basis suitable traffic management scheme implementation for Parkside Drive as soon as possible, and they asked for funds to be listed and considered in the draft 25-26 Capital Works program, and they requested administration to review the traffic volumes. So administration were functioning on council's instruction. Their recommendation at 23, I'm sure, wouldn't have been to go ahead with it. Council instructed that because that's what council heard. And now the community have come back. So they've come back, they don't want it. And so therefore it has to be a council decision not to go ahead with it because council's instructed admin. Is that correct, Mr. Singh?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. That's correct.
Sorry, was I correct, was I?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
So therefore, this wasn't part of the evaluation or a high priority area to put traffic treatment in there. There were other areas that you would have considered higher. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, I think it was brought to council as a motion on notice.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you. One more question from me. Does the administration agree that an annual discussion with council members would produce in notice of motions or amendments to these types of projects that get put forward to council?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it depends upon, like, when we prepare draft program, we follow the council adopted local area traffic management policy or previous council decisions to that effect. Again, if discussion indicates that some of the projects which don't meet the scores, council wants to do them, then council may have to either give us direction through the budget process or make a decision.
Councillor Rowe, did you have a question? Did you have your hand up there? Any other questions on this item, Councillor Parker, do you have a question? Yeah, I did, but it's okay. Oh, okay. So now we go to item 4.6, the tender for renewal of play equipment, softball and installation of shade sail structures. Any questions on item 4.6, councillors? Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. My question relates to the table on page 217 of the report. And item number 9 talks about play equipment and softball works for Warradale Park. I've got 3-4 questions. Can I please confirm through the chair which playground are we referring to? Is that Sam's playground?
Mr. Singh or Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Mayor. No, that's not that particular Sam's playground now.
Councillor Nguyen?
Can I please ask which playground we're talking about then?
Mr. Singh?
Mayor, can I just take that on notice and I can provide that information to find out the exact location where it is?
Thank you. Do you have another question, Councillor Nguyen?
I was going to. I think I will proceed anyway, because the impression I had was that it was in relation to Sam's playground. So there's no works planned in relation to Sam's playground at the moment. Is that right?
Mr. Singh?
Mayor, I need to check that one, whether we are doing a part of that, any renewal of some portions of that playground, that whole area, or there's no complete relocation plan at this stage for that particular playground area. It may be parts of it, but I need to check that one.
Thank you. Any more questions? Councillor Nguyen?
Just following up on that, and may sound a bit unrelated, but Mr. Singh, you and I have been discussing quite a fair bit on the situation through Warradale Park and the swales and flooding of Sam's playground. I think we spoke about the need to reassess the playground, given that it was flooded for the past sort of 2.5 months, and to also assess possible damage of the play equipment, things like that. Is any of that part of this report, or is that something that's going to be done separately?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. There are a couple of items approved in the budget at Warradale Park to be undertaken this financial year. I can provide those details separately. But as far as this particular one is, I need to check the exact details of what's going to happen at Warradale Park and what location. I'll confirm that separately.
Thank you. Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. So, sorry, in terms of Sam's Playground, and I did say that may sound a bit unrelated to this report, but in terms of Sam's Playground, that would be a separate budget item in terms of reassessment of the playground and, you know, repairs and so on and so forth as a result of the flooding. Is that correct to say?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councillor Nguyen has indicated, that we are looking at some infrastructure solutions, what's possible at that particular site, whether they are feasible or not, and can they be approved. And as part of that one, we'll have to consider should the playground be relocated at higher ground, at same site or different site. We haven't done any work on that yet, but that may be something we'll have to consider.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Another
Mayor,
question.
just one very final question for Mr. Singh. Do we have an ETA in relation to Sam's Playground, given your answer tonight, now that the water has in fact receded somewhat? Do we have an ETA as to when the reassessment and any possible repairs going to be taking place?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. For that particular one, I checked with the team day before, I think yesterday. I think water has receded just outside to the level outside the playground area, but some spots are still wet. So we'll wait for another couple of weeks to do a proper assessment, see if we can open that just before summer holidays.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 4.6? If there are no other questions on item 4.6, we now go to tender 4.7, tender number 25200, services upgrades to Brazier Road, Yanchep. And I think there are some confidential items on this. If you want to speak to the confidential section, we'll have to go into closed discussion. Any questions on item 4.7? If there are no questions on item 4.7, we now go to item 4.8, Waste Sustainable Rebate Program Proposal. Are there any questions on item 4.7? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mayor. Just one question on this item. On page 241 and 242, it says that the community must undertake workshops to be eligible for these rebate schemes. I'm just curious to know, when will the timing of these workshops be? So are they accessible to community such as weekends or after hours, or are we requiring people to attend during working hours, which means the success of a rebate program might not be as effective?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. We haven't actually gone down to that final details yet, but that will be, given this is a program we're looking at, subject to Council's endorsement and allocation of funds in next year's budget to prepare those programs for 26-27.
Mr. Singh, I have a question. Could we please have a look at the other councils that have got these sustainable programs, and could we just ask them what times were the best, they got the biggest advantage with their community engagement for these programs, so that we can take advantage of what they've found successful so far? Would we be able to do that, please, Mr. Singh?
Yes, Mayor, definitely we can.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a few for tonight. My first question was, what portion of this budget will be delivered to residents as rebates versus it being absorbed in administration and processing costs?
Mr. Singh.
Mayor, on page 242, we are indicating a $45,000 rebates total budget.
Councillor Moore.
And out of that 45, have we looked at how much it would cost administration to be able to do the works behind the scenes?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. We don't, that's part of our operations, running the business, like providing that service. We don't cost each and every item separately.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you. And if participation or demand grows, is the program capped, or would there be cost increases and return to council each year for more funding?
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, yes, council can decide to increase the level of program depending upon their budget availabilities.
Councillor Moore.
Has any broad citywide consultation been undertaken to demonstrate clear demand for this program beyond the small workshop-based survey?
Mr. Singh.
Not directly, through you, Mayor, not directly. We haven't gone through a community survey or that type of consultation for this program. This is more to align with city's waste plan.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had two more questions. The report references the city's future transition to FOGO several times. Is this rebate program being used to prepare behaviours for FOGO adoption without a council decision being made?
Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, this doesn't preempt a council decision. This is that council, I think there is a comment in the report which clearly says that I'm just trying to find that particular paragraph. It does say in the report that subject to council decisions.
Councillor Moore.
My last question. If we do vote for this, can it later be cited as evidence that council supports a FOGO transition?
Mr. Singh.
Through you, Mayor, not really, given that council to make a decision for that particular matter, to make that decision, council will have to consider several factors, and then before council makes a decision to proceed or not proceed with that particular project.
Thank you. I have a question. Just quickly, Mr. Singh. I would expect that you, with this program, you'd work with our libraries, and you know how our libraries have lots and lots of different programs that we do, from writing to historical management. Would you work with our libraries to bring the education about this and the advice about this, and so it would be more operational and within budget? Is that correct? Is that the idea, Mr. Singh?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, our waste education team will visit libraries, and they already do that for our waste education activities. This will be no different.
Thank you. Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just wondering what is the reason for the disparity between the budgets adopted by the 5 example local governments and the cost proposed by the city? Is it a larger scope? Is it, initial costs, or is it just different?
Mr. Singh.
Through you, Mayor, I think it's dependent upon the size and scale, how much you want to do. I think different councils have adopted different budgets, and we think that for the size and number of households we have, the $45,000 will be a very good start.
Mr. Singh, can I ask you, looking at these councils here, they have older populations, so therefore they might not have the need. Would you agree they might not have the need for the funding, whereas we have such a large population and so many babies born daily to the city of Wanneroo, we might have more take-up of that. Would that be your idea between having that amount available in the budget?
Mayor, I think that will depend upon the community acceptance of community education we do, and community acceptance of the program, what's available to them and what they want to get involved with. Obviously, different demographics may have different needs and different adaptability.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Miles.
Yeah, thank you, and it was good to hear some of the questions being asked. My question is, in the city, has the Waste Services team done any analysis with our planning team on how many babies a day are born in the city of Wanneroo?
Mr. Singh or Mr. Dixon? Or Miss Davis? No one's going to answer. I think it's in our annual report practically, isn't it? It's 8 a day, yeah, 8 a day. But can any of the administrative staff confirm the number of babies born a day? Oh, well, we'll get that data for the next meeting, hey?
Silence from administration, geez. Whilst my other question with the report, on page 240, just underneath what other councils are doing, they have said, it says, the City of Canning advised that their most popular rebate is actually the composting and worm farms. Why would we not possibly be looking at that as a bigger one than the cloth nappies?
Mr Singh.
Through Mayor, that is involved in sustainable rebate program. It's not just the nappies, cloth nappies. It is the composting as well.
I guess my other question to it, Mayor, on page 244, so I'll go to the proposed claims. If we're only going to give $10,000, which is a 50% purchase price for cloth nappies at $100 maximum, that's only 100 families that can get access to that out of 240,000 residents. So has Waste Services really analysed where the target audience needs to be with that particular item?
Mr Singh.
Mayor, at this stage, these are the estimates. Obviously, if there's a take-up in one kind of program more than the other, we'll be able to adjust that as we go along. So I think this is just based on what we think can happen, and they're just the estimates at this stage.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm concerned, as indicated, I sort of understood there was up to 12 babies a day born within the city. So it's obviously between 8 and 12. We're a very young community. It says so in this report we got tonight. My concern is if we get 1,000 or 1,500 families wanting to access just the cloth nappy component, we can't afford that. So I'm just concerned that the Waste Services team hasn't really analysed their data efficiently.
Mr Singh.
Mayor, I think that will depend upon, as I said earlier, the take-up of the scheme. That's possibly what Deputy Mayor Miles has said. It's possible. If that is a take-up, that's probably a good sign, and Council may have to consider that should we up the total programme.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
And just, I guess, to follow on from Councillor Moore's precise questions, that this report articulates very clearly the Waste Services team wanting to do FOGO. This council has not adopted FOGO. So why would this report actually say we're doing this because of transitioning to FOGO? Because it says it on almost every page.
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, we do have a current waste plan which indicates the different kind of projects the city could be undertaking, but none of those projects will come to fruition without council decision. So I think this does say, should city choose to do this one, then we are preparing this one. Even if city doesn't go that for FOGO, these are sustainable rebate program, they can still run. So that doesn't have to be dependent upon a FOGO being implemented.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. My final question, and it goes to what we've all had complaints about, and I'm concerned that the waste team might be jumping to another issue when we really haven't quite bedded down bulkable services. I'm a bit hesitant jumping into another area when I don't think we've really got the bookable, and I know they've come a long way, into a process that we can actually say that's what we want. So my question is, should we really be jumping into this part yet soon, or should we bed in the other one first?
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we are reviewing that operationally as constantly, that particular program, to see if we need to make any adjustments. As we highlighted in our review of that particular scheme for last 12 months, if there are any further improvements required, we'll make those improvements. This can run concurrently. It's another initiative which council can implement. But again, that's why we brought to council for council to make the final decision.
Councillor Parker.
Sorry, at the end of the day, the 85 surveys that were completed, that went out to a particular group of people, I'm going to presume, that are for and are interested in the modern cloth nappy rebate. I wonder how, and I mean, I'm not really good for surveys or petitions or anything like that, but I wonder if we just put a general question out to our general community, what the numbers would be. I understand that this, or can you confirm that this was to a certain group of people that are this way orientated?
Mr. Singh.
Through you, Mayor, the information which is in the report is purely from those sessions which has been indicated. There has not been general community engagement to gauge the level of interest in that one.
And I think that is what worries me, because it's a very, very small group of people that would be interested in this, and I think we have to consider that we have a far larger community to consider before we start putting money into it. Anything, but yet next week will be the decision. Thanks very much.
Any other questions, councillors? If there are no other questions, we now go to item 4.9, the Community Development Plan Extension. Thank you, Mr. Singh, and your team. Ms Davis, are there any items you want to speak to before we start the briefing session?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, do we have any questions on item 4.9, the Community Development Plan Extension? Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. In light of our previous discussions with the Community Facilities Framework and the timing around that, I was quite concerned to see the report on our agenda. And I was having a look at the service plan for the community development area. And in comparison, the number of projects that service unit has been assigned compared to other service units in the area. And I'm just wanting to understand administration's reasoning behind deferring this not only for 1 year, but another 2 to 3 financial years. And from that service plan, the community development area has been assigned 4 projects. One of them was implement the Youth Development Service Review, which is now underway. Review the Regional Homelessness Plan. 3, commence review of the Community Development Plan. And 4, Strategic Social Needs Advocacy. I'm just curious, as community development has the highest number of FTE compared to planning and sustainability and a lot of other areas within the city, excluding youth services, which again, one of their items is youth services, which has 17 FTE. So I'm very confused as to why we're being told there is no capacity to do this development plan, which again, council relies quite a lot on prioritisation of its projects, considering that community development has the highest number of FTE in most of our service units. And we've got other teams that are, not to discourage the team that they are doing work in that area, but there is a number of other service units that are doing far more with far less. So I'm wanting to understand why this particular plan is now being pushed back, considering that a number of our council items or items that are coming up rely on this to know where our intent's going to be strategy-wise.
Ms Russell.
Thank you for your question and through you, Mayor. Page 248 of the council report, under the detailed section, does outline the number of reasons why this plan is recommending for extension, predominantly with the strategy alignment and the implementation of the new council plan. It's really important that we ensure that we're looking at all of the plans across the city that impact community development, and there's a number of them. Just because they don't necessarily sit within the community development service unit, a lot of plans are impacted. So the intention is to work with the realigned structure of the planning framework, and then to maybe look to either consolidate or separate out sections of the plan to ensure that it's future-proofed. This plan is recommending extension mainly so that we can also comply with our disability access and inclusion requirements, and it doesn't mean that actions within the current plan still won't take place.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. So just in supplementary to that, is there any reason why the plan can't be delayed a year? What's the level of work we're talking about here that's causing such a huge delay? Because I know there's the disability component of it. However, and knowing council's views around disability access and inclusion is obviously quite important for a lot of our bigger projects that are coming up as well. So I'm just wanting to know why such a huge delay and not a year, considering that it's one of 4 major priorities for your service unit.
Ms Russell.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So the intention is that there's a large-scale community engagement program that will actually happen to inform the development of this plan, and also potentially inform the development of any other plan that may already be in the sidelines. For example, things like the cultural plan, maybe something that we may want to consider and how that impacts this. So the idea is that a good community engagement program will probably take around about 4 months. There's a lot of research that's been done at the moment around assessing the current capabilities of this plan, and also how we measure social outcomes. So there's a lot of supporting frameworks to ensure that this plan is future-proofed and potentially may even go for beyond 4 years, depending on the level of depth that that plan provides, whether it goes into action planning or it sits more at that strategy level. The plan is intended to aim for council adoption by April 2027 at the very latest. So if the internal planning frameworks are resolved, which isn't due to be done until the end of this current financial year, if that's resolved earlier, then we will be able to commence the development of that plan earlier. We're just predicting, allowing a longer time frame to allow for those other supporting frameworks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. My last question, and in supplementary to the response, is there any reason why the city is doing a separate engagement process, and why don't we use the the livability survey that we conduct every year or every 2 years? As I believe that was the intent of moving to that model, was for some of these larger plans, we would take snippets of that data and transform it. So why are we, I don't want to use the word over-consulting, but we tend to have a habit of over-consulting when we've already got that data. It's just making it meaningful in this context. So can I ask why we're not using livability and why we're spending another 4 months going out again?
Ms Russell.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Exactly your point. The intention isn't to duplicate the information that we already have. It's to actually look at the individual cohorts. So we do find that through the livability survey, we do struggle accessing information from certain communities, multicultural communities, people with disability, and Aboriginal population as well. So what we need to do is we need to drill a little bit further down to see what sort of needs and initiatives are needed to support those groups. So the basis of the council plan is used, the livability survey is used, sorry, not council plan, the community development plan. The basis of the livability survey is definitely used.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? If there are no other questions, we've done item 4.10. We now go to item 4.11, Halesworth Park, additional baseball infrastructure funding request. Do I have any questions on this item? Councillor Figg.
Thank you, Mayor. What I noted from this, understanding that, you know, individual clubs have their, or individual sports have their particular needs, $400,000 seemed to be quite a large amount of money for this sort of infrastructure. Can admin give an idea as to, or break that down slightly to understand why it costs $400,000 for back netting, please?
Mr Stowett.
Thank you, Councillor, for your question through the chair. The back netting is quite a significant structure because of the height of the netting required. The supporting poles and footings are what constitute most of the cost. The actual cost would be refined through a detailed process. At this stage, it's very high level, but that's my understanding of where the cost sits with this one.
Thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. The administration often talks about the demand on our community facilities, and I'm aware that there are many sporting groups that put in requests for facility upgrades, either through petitions, CRMs, or approaching their councillors. This is a very interesting sort of precedent that's been set here tonight, that the club has requested and the administration's brought it before us as a report. Can I ask why we followed this process rather than it being a matter of getting it on the LTFP, etc.? This seems like it's very much accelerated, and I have not seen any other example like this for the almost 5 years I've been on. So can administration explain the thought process for how this has managed to happen so quickly, given our oversubscription of community facility upgrades?
Mr Stowitz.
Thank you, Councillor Rowe, for your question through the Mayor. This one is a bit unusual. I think it's arisen from, I guess, issues that have come to light through the use of Halesworth Park as a multi-use facility, and perhaps baseball as one of the more, I guess, sports that requires more purpose-built infrastructure on a shared facility. Some of those issues perhaps weren't foreseen originally. Look, it's something that I guess we felt the need to bring it to council. We were getting requests from the club, well, since that club's moved to Halesworth, we've had requests from them for continual upgrades to meet their requirements, and they're things that we feel are not necessarily above what is required for the sport to take place at a basic level. So we felt it was important to bring it to council for consideration. I guess we're not necessarily proposing to fast track it, but there have been those issues since that club moved. They're requesting infrastructure, and we felt it was necessary to bring that forward at this point.
Councillor Rowe.
Just the last question from me, Mayor. The recommendation on page 285 speaks for $30,000 in the mid-year review and then ultimately $400,000 in the upcoming budget. Can I confirm that none of that money currently sits on the LTFP? It's all unbudgeted, is that correct?
Mr Stowitz.
Thank you, through the Chair. Yes, that's correct. If council resolves to list that for consideration in next year's budget, we'll have to consider how that can be accommodated. And if not, what might need to move back to accommodate that expenditure.
Councillor Parker.
Thanks, Mayor. On page 283, in relation to risk, the City has not received any feedback from other user groups at Halesworth Park regarding any injury, property damage or near misses from errant baseballs, and therefore a formal risk assessment has not been completed. So that is my one question. Will we be doing a formal risk assessment? And the other question is, would there not be other funding available to the club through either grants or Lottery West or that type of thing? Those are the two questions. Thanks.
Mr Stowitz.
Through the Chair, yes, thanks for your question. I guess the first question in relation to the risk assessment, yes, we'll work with the club to look at how they can manage risk. Our initial assessment is that it's relatively low. There haven't been any incidents, and in other areas where baseball's played, there's very, very low numbers, if any, issues where foul balls cause injury. But I guess the issue here is it's both about risk to participants, risk to spectators, but also risk to assets. And given the proximity of the main diamond to the clubroom building, there is risk of ongoing damage to that facility. But we'll work with the club around risk management measures in the interim until such time as any facility upgrades can occur. In relation to the second part of your question, actually, if you wouldn't mind just repeating that second part of your question.
Sorry, would there be any grants, or could they go to Lottery West?
Yes, there is normally grant streams available for community sporting facilities. At the moment, the availability of that funding is a bit unknown. The state government's currently reviewing that funding stream, is my understanding, and we've sought clarification from them on that and are still waiting a reply. But yes, that CSRFF funding is normally our go-to for community sporting facility funding.
Sorry, so the Lottery West as well, they couldn't apply for that one?
Not typically for sporting infrastructure, no.
Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Fick.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the same questions, I guess, that a lot of other councillors have had, but I'd like to just refer to page 286, which is the map, Mr. Stillwell. Now, the current diamond is in the south oval in the upper right-hand corner, and the city is wanting to build the second diamond in the north oval in the lower west corner by the high school. But I understand that that oval is used extensively by Little Athletics. So why would we put it up there and not in the bottom west corner of the south oval?
Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you for your question, Deputy Mayor, through the Chair. The South Oval has a junior diamond in the northwest corner, but on that southern southwest corner, I'm not sure if the club uses that area given its distance to the club room. The inclusion of the diamond on the North Oval in that southwestern corner was incorporated when the last upgrades were made to extend the oval to fit the athletics track in. And I think mainly that, I guess my understanding is that it's the proximity to the pavilion that's the main driver there. But I have to double check that one.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I do know that the club does use the south oval, southwest corner, but only for some training warm-ups and the like. That oval is very, very large and can accommodate another full-size diamond because they have told me in the past, because the concern of doing it in the North Oval, administration was at one time attempting to build a diamond and put it in the wrong place a couple of times, and it was interfering with the Little Athletics. So I'm quite puzzled at this item coming before us tonight, as other councillors have, and maybe it does need a bit more work.
Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you for your question, Deputy Mayor. The back netting on that northern oval has been constructed, and any issues with the athletics use has been resolved. The previous back nets that were installed on the northern oval were just in a temporary location, so that the club could play their games until such time as a more permanent solution could be found. Certainly I'd have to check with the club why additional back netting in the southern oval is not their preference, but that may be required in future if the club continues to grow.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Figg, you had your hand up. You're fine. Okay, we now go to corporate strategy and performance. Thank you, Ms Jennings. Are there any items you wish to speak to this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 6 items, 2 of which are monthly reports and 3 have come from the Audit and Risk Committee, Risk and Improvement Committee, and there's one sale of some road reserves. So I'm happy to take questions on any of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any questions, councillors, on item 4.12, the financial activity statement? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick one, Ms Jennings, on 4.12. On page 305, administration are asking to take some funding from the Delamere Park, Banksia Grove Renew Pathway lighting to Knightsbridge Park Butler Renew Pathway lighting. Does that mean the Delamere Park, Banksia Grove Renew Pathway lighting is complete?
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. My understanding is that project has come below the total budgeted cost.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I asked if it was complete.
Mr Singh.
Thank you, Mayor. I can check and confirm that to Council.
Any other questions on item 4.12? Yes, Ms Jennings.
Sorry, it is actually savings that we're allocating to this project, so it's no longer required by the lighting project.
Thank you. Okay, item 4.13, Financial Management Review Report 2025. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mayor. Just one question from me. On page 103 of the annual report, it highlights one of our achievements as the city offering staffing to the Shire of Calder. Could I just get some clarification around, is this something that the city is now...
Councillor Wright, sorry, what page are you referring to? We're talking about item 4.13. We're not talking about the annual report.
Oh, sorry, ignore me, Mayor.
So do you have a question? Any questions on item 4.13, Financial Management Review Report? There are no questions on that. The Corporate Planning and Performance Improvement, item 4.14, City of Wanneroo 2024-2025 Annual Report. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mayor. On page 103, the city highlighted one of its achievements around partnerships with other local governments, offering staffing or conducting work on behalf of the Shire of Calder. Could I seek some clarification? Is this something that the city is now offering to bring in or diversify our revenue?
Mr Dixon.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, we were approached by the Shire of Calder to assist them with providing environmental health services due to a shortage of resources. So we offered to assist them, and that's what we did.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. In supplementary, is this something that maybe possibly the Revenue Review Committee can look at with our city alignment project, whether it might be an opportunistic thing to be able to provide regional local governments, plus it diversifies and brings in a revenue stream? Obviously, it would have to be a targeted program based on where we have extra capacity or resources, but is this something that we can look at expanding into the future?
Mr Parker.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Wright. It's certainly something the city can consider. I do receive requests from regional CEOs a fair bit. Recently had one from the Shire of Dundebar for similar services, but their request was significantly higher than what our capacity was to provide. So the Calder example was probably an example of where we had a little bit of capacity, fee for service, and we'd have to review that on an annual basis. And when we checked in with the health team more recently around the proposal from Dundebar, it was well beyond what we had capacity to service. So it would need to be, I guess, a strategy or something we'd look to from a revenue perspective, and we'd need to see whether, in all fairness, I mean it's good from a helping your regional brothers and sisters perspective, but would it provide a sufficient yield for it to be considered a revenue generating exercise? Is something I think the Revenue Committee would need to have a look at.
Any other questions on the annual report, councillors? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mayor. I refer to page 412 of the agenda proper, which is page 61 of the annual report. Through yourself, Mayor, to Ms Jennings, if I can, is it correct that this page details the council and committee attendance records, which includes attendance at ordinary council meetings, special council meetings, concept forums, budget workshops and briefing sessions? Is that correct?
Ms Jennings.
Through the Mayor, yes, that is correct.
Any other questions on the annual report, councillors? Okay, if there are no more questions on the annual report, I now go to the warrant of payments, item 4.15, for the period to the 31st of October. Do I have any questions on the warrant of payments, councillors? If there are no questions on the warrant of payments, I now go to item 4.16, the annual, though we could correct that spelling, annual audit of financial report for the year ended 30th of June 2025. Do I have any questions on the annual report, councillors? The financial report. Thank you. I go to item 4.17, proposed closure of unconstructed road reserve portion of Pinjar Road, Ashby. Do I have any questions on that item? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, sorry, Ms Jennings. My question is, whilst I'm quite comfortable with the proposal at hand, I was just wondering whether or not the other owners of Carosa 143 house number and number 4 Titern, whether they've actually been asked if they wish to realign their back fence as well to take up what is quite a large piece of wasted land on that road for verge.
Ms Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. Over time, since we've had this piece of land that hasn't been required for the road reserve, we have discussed with all those people in that area. So this is the latest one that's now showing interest. So I can check for you how long ago the last question was, but all of them have been consulted at some point.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 4.17? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. And just finally, is this the same process as the city would go through if we were going to close a pathway between buildings, you know, those walkways? Is it the same process where the residents have to buy the land and it is up to the minister to actually sign it off?
Through the Mayor, it's actually Crown land, which is why it goes through that process. So it depends on the land ownership.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 4.17? If there are no questions on item 4.17, we now go to the Office of the CEO, Legal and Governance. Ms Coles, are there any items you wish to speak to this evening on the agenda?
No, thank you, Mayor, but we're happy to take questions.
Thank you. Councillors, do I have any questions on item 4.8, the updated Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee terms of reference? If there are no questions on that item, I now go to item 4.19, the review of council members' continuing professional development policy. Do I have any questions on that item? If there are no questions on that item, do I have any questions on item 4.20? Oh no, we don't need questions on that because we're appointing delegates. And the second one is a delegate as well. Okay, so late reports that will be circulated under a separate cover are item 4.22, the long-term financial plan and 10-year capital works program 2026 to 27 to 2035 to 36. Item 4.23, the meeting schedule. And we have item 5, we have motions on notice. 5.1, Councillor Hugh Newen, mosquitoes from Warradale Park. Item 6, confidential. 6.1, we have a staff matter that will be circulated under separate cover. Item 7, the date of the next meeting. The next ordinary council meeting is being scheduled for 6 p.m. on the 16th of December 2025 to be held at the Council Chamber, Civic Centre, 23 Dundebar Road, Wanneroo, and I declare the meeting closed at 20:55. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance.